It's time to set the record straight.
Well, sometimes it's good to, in order to go forward in life, it's good to look back. There is a famous Ghanaian saying, sankofa. Sankofa is a Ghanaian word from the Tree language, and is also referred to the Bono Adinkra symbol. So that is like a shape of a bird with its head turned backwards, whilst its feet face forward, carrying a precious egg in its mouth. Sankofa. So in order to go forward, we have to look back to see where we've come from. So I want you to listen to this conversation. This was on February the 14th, 2017. So less than a year before the election of 2018. And this was on BBC Focus on Africa. And Audrey was the presenter and interviewing Joseph Fitzgerald Kamara, who was the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. So take a listen. We're now in 2014. What has changed? To me, it sounds like that he's representing his current government because of what we've been hearing for the last 6 years. So it sounds like, to me, what I'm hearing now from him, this was 2017, it sounds like he's representing his current government. And what it reminds me in terms of going forward, looking back, is the fact that 2018, we had the slogan in Sierra Leone from, I don't know if it was coming from the APC party back then, but who was the opposition because they lost the election in 2018. And there's a slogan which says, the ground don't dry, ground dry. So it is really interesting for us at this time, 2024 in January. Let's just go back and listen to Joseph Fitzgerald, who was the Attorney General and Minister of Justice under Anis Koroma.
Let's talk about the major issues that face Sierra Leone at the moment. What would you say it is?
I think the economy is a big challenge. And it is a big challenge because we got it right when we were almost there. The second fastest growing economy, brilliant for us, until Ebola struck. When Ebola struck, the economy plummeted downwards. Companies left the countries, nothing happened. We were at a standstill for about 20 months, and schools were not open, and we were almost at the 0 point. So immediately after, we were able to manage it due to community involvement and strategic involvement of development partners. But I can tell you the devastating effects are just awesome.
I know I don't want to minimize the impact that Ebola had on the economy and on the people, but I'm just wondering that, there are still so many other things that could happen. Agriculture, for instance, that could generate real revenue and real jobs as well. Are those areas being galvanized. They're not just looking at big companies, and because big companies will leave, when they want to, and they can leave for any reason. They don't need Ebola to leave. But what about homegrowing the economy so that it can withstand these shocks?
Oh, certainly, we are working on that, and as a government policy, we're now having a diversification of the economy. We're trying to take focus away from the minerals, which has not helped us that much. We're looking at promoting agriculture so that we could increase our export base and then our foreign exchange earnings. Because we do have a project now we call small commercialization of farmers, so that we give them the opportunity to have the right access to tools, to have the right percentage of fertilization for their crops, and open up the land policy so that people can have more greater land to invest in agriculture.
It's interesting you're saying that you're looking away from minerals. I mean, Sierra Leone has so many minerals. It's the diamonds from Sierra Leone, for instance. So is that a strategy you think that other countries in Africa should follow as well? Because very many countries rely on those kinds of commodities.
Certainly, Audrey, because when you come to look at it, most of these minerals have not helped us in Africa. Rather than what many people tend to say, they've been a curse rather than a blessing. Because we had diamonds, we've not been able to translate the produce of those diamonds into something good, tangential for our people. So we have to shift our attention from there, focus on things that will generate greater revenue for the greater many of the people and work for the welfare of society.
Okie dokie. Now, this is the question of unemployment, all right, in 2017. So the question was put to JFK about unemployment. Now, let's take a listen. This is going to be fun.
What about unemployment? Because Sierra Leone is a country of about 8 million people, many of them very young people who need jobs. Most of them, though, are unemployed. What sort of strategy would you be looking at to develop jobs in the country?
Well, unemployment is keen in Sierra Leone as is elsewhere in the world. We have younger graduates. The greater percentage of the population is within that younger adults bracket. It is a difficult one, but we're looking more at the issues of unemployability. Unemployability meaning that we can have the right education, but they don't have the right tools to market themselves for a job. And we're looking at increasing the number of vocational schools so that people can have access to jobs that will really, education that will earn them a job.
You say you're looking at it, but what are you doing about it?
We do have a policy. That's what I'm suggesting when I say looking government has done something.
So it's not yet implemented.
There is an implementation. We have a national education strategy that is there, and it is working towards having vocational institutes. We're increasing the numbers. They're there. It is to increase the numbers sufficiently to cater for the bracket that we are addressing, the increasing number of unemployed youths. It's critical for government, and we have adopted a policy also where is a youth employment scheme. Government is working on that. It was launched a few months back. I think it was about in November. So it's a priority for the government.
And the youth unemployment scheme, how many people does it look to employ?
We're looking at a bracket of 5,000 to start off with as an experimental number.
In what fields?
We're looking at different fields, agriculture, the engineering, and then you're looking at more the economy and business. These are the areas that are focusing. And we're building a youth village that will harness all these resources together where youths could go to and learn a beneficial trade.
Okay.
Like I said, this is sankofa. And there's a big debate right now about ethnicity, ethnic divide. And it's always good to actually go back, and retrieve these information. Because like I said, this is very important. Well, the question of ethnicity, right? And let's just pay attention to it in JFK means say in 2017 when the question was put to him about the ethnic divide in the country. Let's sankofa.
Let's look at one of the issues again that faces Sierra Leone, ethnicity. It's quite a sharp divide in the country. Some people say, the people that we talk to and get in touch with the program, say that it's a divide that is actually getting wider. The Northwest voting almost entirely for the current government, and the Southeast, that is the support base for the main opposition party. Is that divide getting wider, and is it something that worries you?
Wow, Audrey, we've done quite a good research. Indeed, it is true that ethnicity could be a problem.
Could be or is?
It is. It could be a problem. It is there. Could be a problem. It could be a problem. But it does worry anyone, particularly persons like myself as Attorney General Minister of Justice, because we believe if you want to deliver justice, justice should be for all. Everybody should benefit from justice. Now, if you're looking at the polarization of society, it's critical that we try to have an inclusive type of government where everybody will feel belong, where everybody will feel the opportunity to grow, that it will not be based on what tribe you come from, what ethnic group you belong to, or what region you belong to. So we must come to accept and face it as Sierra Leoneans that it is a problem. And
but
how do we address
divide,
it?
But it's a divide that is exploited by politicians. Government might say one thing because it sounds good and that's what government is supposed to say, but it doesn't suit the politicians that want to stay in power or the politicians that want to be in power.
I absolutely agree with you in that. But what we're looking at as a government, we have been a broad-based inclusive government, representative of the entire country. The president was last week in the southeastern part of the country. There was so much tremendous show of support. We've walked on the roads as far as Skyline, the farthest end of the east in the country. You can now leave from Freetown to the farthest point of the east within hours. What will never have happened before. They were so thankful because the roads were there. Energy is there now. Totally different from what used to uphold. So it means that this government is catering for the entirety of the country. And we have a president that believes in one nation.
It's getting really sweeter, isn't it? Now let's look at the question of JFK record. As a ACC boss, right? Because what we see now, probably as a result of this coup, is the fact that the Commission of Inquiry against the former president and also the flag bearer and other people as well that were involved, that were found guilty. And listen, because he was saying about they were convicted. Large majority of people were convicted. And if that's the case, there were nobody who rise up to fight back, to overthrow that government. And that is very key. That's what I'm saying. It's always good to sankofa, to go back and look and retrieve, right? And it's very interesting about how he's trying to wiggle his way out, thanks to Audrey there. And she's really showing off and showing up our presenters and journalists in Sierra Leone. So take a listen to the answer that he gave to the ACC question. Sankofa.
Now let's look at your record as an anti-corruption commissioner. You worked also at the Special Court for Sierra Leone for many years before going back home to Sierra Leone to work as an Attorney General, and now, of course, as the Justice Ministry. How would you describe your record as an anti-corruption campaigner, or in office as an anti-corruption czar, as they say?
Well, a comparative analysis could be difficult, but I can say directly that it was a successful era for the Anti-Corruption Commission. Successful in the sense that we secured the highest number of convictions ever since the establishment of the commission, and beyond that we were able to establish systems, properly management of affairs of the commission.
But under your watch, the commission lost several major cases. Do you take responsibility for those failures?
Well, I wouldn't say loss, because in law, you win, sometimes you lose.
But with corruption, it's the people's money that you're talking about, and they put you there to do the job of prosecuting and winning, because they want their money back and they want the scourge erased from their societies.
Absolutely.
So it is a loss, isn't it?
I agree with you, but it is still not a loss. What happens? How do you measure success?
How
do you measure
success by
not by
winning
the case
you lose,
you lose,
by putting people into
jail. It is by the
jail.
cases you take to court. Because don't forget, we always have this.
But you're a lawyer. We're looking at it from the point of view of ordinary people. They say you must make your case. Because we depend on you to get our money back.
I agree. The point I'm making is that you only assess an investigative wing of of a law outfit by the type of cases and the quality of cases they take to court. Audrey, it is not the Anti-Corruption Commission that decides the cases. The decision of the cases is with the courts, a totally different arm of government. So when you assess what ability that you yourself can do. But when it goes beyond, you can take a horse to the river, you cannot force it to drink.
Now, let's sankofa now this, right? Let's look at, this is the hypocrisy about our solicitors in Sierra Leone. I mean, majority of us have been let down by solicitors anyway in Sierra Leone. So that is not a secret. But this question about the rich and powerful, and the way he answered the question, you can actually see, if we come forward now, why he was crying. He said he was crying, right? When he saw the former president in the dock. Listen to the answer that he gave in 2017. You can clearly see why he came out with such a statement about 40 hours, no evidence, bad precedents. Let's sankofa JFK.
What about undue influence and so on? Because for those who stand from the outside, they say, why are they taking that case and not this one? That one involved small fish. This one involves big fish. Why is he not going for the big fish? Did you experience that? Were your hands tied in some instances?
We always have the difficulty of experiencing where do you go. They go for the big fish, you go for the small fish. In any event, you charge, you get beaten. You don't charge, you get beaten. It's a never-winning situation for persons in that kind of position, which experience have come to reflect on us. And I can tell you that during my tenure as a commissioner of the Anti-Corruption Commissions, I never experienced a situation where my hands are tied. We prosecuted very senior officials of government. We took difficult cases to court. But it is never wise to suggest that you only have to go for ministers of government alone, because sometimes petty corruption can enter and defeat the ends of society more than anything else. So it's where do you draw the balance? It's a difficult line, but we do try to manage a balance, and that is why I can say that the effectiveness of a commission is measured by the successes, not only by its convictions, but how can you reduce it? And during my tenure, we were able to succeed in promoting the image of the Anti-Corruption Commission and the ranking in the Perception Corruption Index of TI by 39 spaces.
Indeed. But did you feel, though, that there were people that were beyond the reach of anti-corruption laws because they were just too powerful? Because that's very often what it looks like from the outside. You see somebody, who gets away with it time and again.
In any society, you have the rich and the powerful, obviously. But I can tell you that the way we manage affairs at the Anti-Corruption Commission, we do not look at the individual. We look at the offense that is committed, and that is what we follow. Because many a time you come to realize that we developed what we call a politically exposed persons listing, meaning persons that have government appointments, directly presidential appointments. They are politically exposed. And so their level and threshold of look is more bigger. But definitely I can tell you that you do not look at who the individual is. It is the offense that is committed that we pay attention to.
Well, I think lots of people watching us now will probably have lots and lots of cases that they will be sending in saying, this one wasn't prosecuted, that one wasn't prosecuted.
I know.
But I see. So you're used to catching these stones.
Certainly,
okay.
Certainly.
Whoa. This is the big one. This is the big one, right? Sankofa is really good. It's always good to go back. Now, this is a question about if he was to become the president of Sierra Leone. At that time, he was the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, right? Okay. Now, at this moment, is a suspect, so he's not guilty of anything at this moment. Now, let's kind of go forward a little bit. Let's presume. Let's say if Alice Kamara is found guilty. Is that the kind of precedent we would have had in JFK? And if we was to go forward again, or let's see where we are in 2024, if Anis Kamara is found guilty, does that mean that JFK knew about this plan, because he talks about he want to continue. Anyway, let's sankofa JFK.
What would you offer Sierra Leoneans as presidential contender, as president?
Well, when that shall come, I can clearly see that I'm looking at continuing the legacy of His Excellency the President that has been established, and look more at diversification of the economy, promoting education, empowering women, and building on the capacity of youths.
Would you right now, because you're on Facebook Live, pitch yourself as president? What would you tell Sierra Leoneans?
I'll tell Sierra Leoneans that there is hope, that I believe in the country and I believe in us as Sierra Leoneans, that we have a resilient attitude, that it is time that we can stand up for what we believe in and make sure that we have a better country for our people.
Well, this one is very interesting, right? Because this is a question of the constitutional reform. And at this moment, because of the elections that APC refused to accept that they lost, the international committee was involved and they've set up this tripartite committee. If we only can sankofa, we can clearly see that this problem that they're trying to solve has been there for a long time. Actually, JFK made a clarification of that, about the things that need to be changed within the Constitution, right? So when we have a point where a political party, instead of being a credible opposition, but decided to remove its members from parliament because of they feel that they've won the elections, or the government or President Bio has, did not win the election, then at the same time, there's a committee that was formed, and now look where they are. So it is necessary, or it was necessary, that there's a need for an electoral reform, right? So that we can have smooth elections. There was a need for it for a very long time. So what is all the force about? When is this government's time to govern? What was the force about? And I remember the president made that very clear about the electoral reform. They need to change it, or they need to reform it, so that, all these problems about elections could be resolved. So what's the force about? So it's always good to go back and fetch, so that we can actually see what we have at hand. So take a listen.
Why are constitutions so complicated? You're going through a white paper process, you're going through this process, that process, when in fact, shouldn't it just be quite simple? These are the 10 things that the Constitution delivers you, and you're guaranteed it. And if we don't do it, this is what will happen to us. Couldn't it just be that?
Well, it could be that and more, because sometimes constitutions need to reflect the modern day society and the new aspirations of the people that they lead. It is also important that it should not be easy to change, because if you have somebody that will come into power wanting to meddle with it, it should not be able to be done so easily.
So it seems to me the simpler it is, the less easy it is to change. Because complex things, you can always find loopholes. You can always go through, various. You can interpret it this way and not that way, and then lawyers fight. It seems like for lawyers, complexity is important, because that's where they come in, and we won't need you if we don't have complexity.
Well, it's not about lawyers now. It's about ensuring that the basic needs of society are entrenched. We have entrenched clauses in any constitution, meaning you don't change those easily. There are other aspects which can be changed just with a slight in parliament. Why are they entrenched? Because they so affect society that you should not meddle with them easily.
What are the 3 things that are entrenched that you think should be entrenched in Sierra Leone's constitution?
Yeah, one of them is citizenship, so that you don't change that overnight. Another one is the tenure of the head of state and members of parliament. And another one could also be elections, issues that pertain to the conduct of elections.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Audrey.
So the question here is, right, can JFK be trusted? And what credible case has JFK won that we all as Sierra Leoneans could be proud of him? I'll leave you to sankofa that one. Well, my name is Clarence, aka Freestyle from Fairy Radio London.
Now the summer comes and the winter goes and the rain falls and the green grass grow and everything of its time, and this happens to be freestyle. Catch the profile.